Hi folks, the Filipino P here, and since it's a lovely day today, I've decided to do a video outside. So today I'm gonna warn you foreigners about 12 things you should never do in the Philippines, so you can stay on good terms with the local population. We Filipinos consider ourselves a proud people deserving of respect. We value being polite and civil. But because we can also be rather shy, you might have a hard time figuring out what's going on in our heads or how we perceive your actions. Well, let me help you stay out of the minefield by shedding light on some of the behavior that can get you in hot water with the locals, or in trouble with the law, or even from getting yourself killed. Number one, stay out of politics. I know most of you guys are very vocal when it comes to your views on politics, and it's one of your conversations during dinner time with your friends and family back home. But here in the Philippines, our government is adamant about foreigners not meddling in our politics. When I say meddling, it's not like you can just not talk about politics here. What we say meddling is when you join demonstration or you publicly display your frustration about our government and our system here. Please stay low profile. Do not post anything that will incriminate yourself in social media, or talk about it in person with Filipinos that might have different views from you, because that can start a heated argument. And it's a really good way to get you deported or blacklisted and be considered persona non grata. There was a blogger named Nathan Allen, and he came to the Philippines to promote tourism in Sorsogon, if I'm not mistaken. So apparently, the Board of Tourism there was not very helpful, according to him. And he wrote that in the article. And obviously, the government from Sorsogon, or the Board of Tourism, didn't like that article. So now I think he's banned from entering the Philippines. He's proclaimed as persona non grata, meaning you're unwelcome. You're not allowed to enter the Philippines. So it was a long article. I read the bits and pieces, but that's just an example, guys, that can get you in trouble here in the Philippines. And he came here to even promote tourism. So that's kind of ironic. Aside from that blogger, there's this famous actress, Claire Danes, who said some unflattering comments about Manila. So she didn't like Manila. And guess what? She's included in the long list of persona non grata. She's not allowed to enter the Philippines because of her remarks. Also, Alec Baldwin, because he mentioned wanting to order a Filipina mail order bride. I'm not sure if he was just joking, but because of that, he's also barred from entering the Philippines. So, guys, it's not just the famous people, it can also happen to you if you pissed off a Filipino that can cause you trouble, that can report you to the Bureau of Immigration, or someone in the government. So just be careful and not be over the top criticizing our government or our system. I know it's hard, because for me, I'm personally all for free speech, whatever the topic. But I'm just letting you guys know the real situation here. So, guys, I'm just warning you. I'm not scaring you. It's just that do not post anything on social media or anything on the internet that can incriminate you, because that's a public record, you know? So, that's for the politics side. Now, let's do number two, pointing. I know. How can you get in trouble just by pointing, using your fingers? I think there's a good reason why we Filipinos don't do that, because we point with our lips. Like, we're not asking to be kissed, but yeah, that's how we usually do it. It's okay to point at something using your fingers, but if you're pointing at someone, that can be considered rude or disrespectful. especially if you're talking about someone that you don't know, like from afar. Like if you're out with your Filipina and you said something about that guy that he did something that you didn't like, do not use your finger on pointing at that guy, because if that guy sees you doing that, that can start a brawl, believe it or not. That could be considered rude and disrespectful, especially here in the Visayan area. I've noticed that a couple of times when my mom's saying, hey, you can't do that, you cannot point at someone. That's like, it's like an equivalent of staring at someone. That's kind of rude, like staring a long time at someone. So you're not supposed to do that, because Filipinos are very sensitive. It is like you're starting a fight. So just an FYI. Number 3, complaining. And you guys complain a lot. And I share your sentiments too, because I complain a lot too. And for Filipinos, my standards of complaining can be seen as a biatch. But I complain because I want us to improve our services here in the Philippines. So, anyway, if you're a big guy with a booming voice and you're very uptight, that can be seen as an attack towards a Filipino. And that's a negative thing, especially if you're doing that in a public space. So guys, I understand where you come from. You guys are encouraged to speak about things and complain. But just keep that to a minimum when you come here in the Philippines, because your Western mentality cannot work here. This is a third world or a developing country. We need a lot of work. And if you're going to complain about something, my personal advice is do it in private when no one's hearing you complain about things. So if a Filipino sees you with that attitude, one thing for sure, they won't help you and they're not going to be friends with you. And if you do that towards someone with authority here in the Philippines, let's say a Bureau of Immigration officer, then before you know it, you'll be back home the next flight. Like, kaboom. That's it. So guys, please bottle it up. Stay cool. Breathe in, breathe out. All right. Number 4. Do not enter a house without at least asking about shoes. All right. So if you've traveled in Asia and here in the Philippines, you've noticed that we walk barefoot inside our house. And if this is going to be your first time visiting your Filipinas family, you have to observe what she does. If she removes her shoes before entering the house, you have to do the same thing. Because assuming that you can just enter the house with your shoes on, it can be seen as impolite or rude. You know what, guys, when I was a kid, while watching a Western movie, I saw kids running around their house and with their shoes on, and they're laying on their bed reading, but still their shoes on. And I was like, Mom, what are they doing? Because it's very, very bizarre in our world, especially Filipinos, because we cannot do that. My mom would kill me. So anyways, I've seen that as a bizarre thing, because even moms in the movies, they clean the house with their shoes on. So you guys are weird. Anyway, number 5. Don't disrespect or belittle elders, because we Filipinos are known for our caring nature. We take care of our elderly people until the day they die. We respect them. We revere them. So if you're coming here and giving some snarky comments to one of our elderly people, then you may as well just kick a bee's nest, because you will have 1,000 angry Filipino bees running after you. Do not do that here. We even have special words for addressing an elder. We don't call them by their first names. It's a big no-no here, guys. So if you're talking to someone who's older than you, you have to use the po and opo. Like, yes po. That's a polite way when talking to someone who's older than you. This is also applicable, guys, when you're meeting your girlfriend's parents. Let's say you're older than them, but you still have to use po and opo with them, and do not call them by their first names, for God's sake, because that would be seen as very rude. So it would be nicer to just call them mama and papa. So no first names here, guys. Po and opo is way to go. You can Google search how to use them, but it's very, very easy. It's a sign of respect. So, number 6. Now, this sounds like my warning about not complaining too much, but this one can be a lot more dangerous. Don't get in a heated argument with a Filipino. No matter how upset you get, don't lose it here, guys, or you can embarrass or anger someone past the point of no return. All right, let me give you a true story. There's this guy, there's a foreigner and a Filipino guy. The Filipino guy tricked the foreigner guy into buying his defective car. So obviously, the foreigner guy was very, very upset. So he went to his residence and starts yelling and then embarrassing this Filipino guy in front of his family. You know, guys, what I told you about this, our saving face, our defending our honor. So by doing that, he's provoking the Filipino to do something about defending his honor, to the point of actually trying to kill the foreigner. Because there's this saying here in the Philippines, guys, ubusan ng lahi, like a clan versus your clan. So you can start a war between clans. It's like War of Roses. Just don't do it here. If something happens, like, you know, in this kind of situation, you have to go to the proper authority. Don't put a Filipino in a situation that he feels he has to kill you to defend his honor. Number 7, rejecting food. We Filipinos are known for not wasting any food. So if you're invited to a Filipino party, you have to talk to your Filipina beforehand. First, you have to tell her if you have an allergic reaction to a certain food, or if you have a special diet, if you're a vegan, or if you are a vegetarian. So tell her beforehand, because most of the food that will be served in that party might look different from what you're used to. So there's this episode in 90 Day Fiancé, I forgot which season that is. There's this American guy, he was served a lechon and he didn't like it, he didn't even try it. So the Filipinos family was very upset because they paid for the pig. So lechon here is a big thing for Filipinos, for Christ's sake. So guys, have an open mind if you're going to a Filipino party, even if the food looks like from Hell's Kitchen and not approved by Gordon Ramsay. Just try a little bit if you can, just to be polite. All right? Number 8, don't crush hands in a handshake. Well, in the West, it's a sign of confidence. Two adults exchanging firm handshakes is something that you're used to. But here in the Philippines, not so much. People don't usually initiate it because we're not used to it. We're more into high fives or just a simple hi and hello. So if you extend your hand, they might find it weird. So you might find, I don't know, a crazy look on their faces. But sometimes, obviously, people in the corporate world, they do that here. Although not as firm as you guys do it. Because if you do that to a Filipino, it might seem aggressive, if that makes sense. So anyway, if you're meeting your Filipinas family, it would be best to just say hi and hello. So no firm handshakes here. All right? Number 9, do not date married women. I have made an entire video addressing this topic with Gracie, but please guys, take note. Even if she says that the husband is no longer in the picture for 10-15 years, he can still cause you trouble. You have to make sure that the woman you're dating is not legally married in the Philippines, because obviously we don't have divorce here. So to protect yourself, you have to make sure that you have it in text or an email or anything in writing that she's claiming she's single. That will protect you legally, but not from an angry ex-husband who can extort you for money or even kill you. So just please do your due diligence, guys. make sure that the woman you're dating is not legally married, because that is really not worth the trouble. All right? Number 10. This is not only applicable for the Philippines, but for every foreign country you visit. Probably it's a good idea not to get drunk in public. You'll get loose lips, a loud voice, maybe raw emotions. And please, guys, don't get involved in any brawls, because even though the fight is over, the retaliation from Filipinos never ends. And there's no statute of limitations either. There are vindictive Filipinos, so be careful. Especially if you're drinking alone in a bar. If you had an argument with this certain person, most likely they'll be watching you leave the bar. And imagine stumbling home at 2 a.m. in a dark alley. You'll see him and his friends in there. So be careful. If you're drinking alone, keep it to a minimum level. Don't get drunk. And it's best to drink with your friends, so you are safer that way. So just don't be loud, and don't be a douche. Just be chill. All right? Number 11. As a bonus, guys, I'm going to advise you to not sing Frank Sinatra's My Way in any karaoke bar here in the Philippines, because apparently that song is cursed. There were people killed just because they sang that song. So don't do it. I know it sounds crazy, but karaoke bars are one of the most dangerous places here in the Philippines. So just don't sing it off key, because someone might be triggered to kill you. I don't know, but you can search it online. It's true. Alrighty? Number 12. Don't eat the last piece of food on a plate, or you'll be seen as greedy. Have you noticed in a Filipino get-together, say they eat a big plate of pizza or a bunch of chicken wings, there's always that last piece. And believe me, guys, it happens to me too. It's like a Mexican standoff. Like we're looking at each other wondering who's going to get the last piece. I don't know, maybe it's just a cultural thing, but it's always like seen as if no one's really brave enough to ask permission to get the last piece. Unlike in the West, like obviously if there's one slice of pizza left, you're gonna say, hey Jim, do you want that? John, you want that or not? But here in the Philippines, there's a point that no one's brave enough to say anything, and most of the time we'll just take it home in a doggy bag. When we say doggy bag, it's not necessarily that the dog is going to eat it. It's someone in the house is going to eat it. So that's something we do differently here, guys. I know it's weird. We are weird. So that's my list of things you should not do here in the Philippines. And I'm sure you guys can and will come up with a lot more. So I look forward to seeing them in the comment section, especially the funny stuff you always post. And I'll be back on Friday with something new. Till then, folks. Sir, do you have any idea how fast you were speeding? Speeding through my video? Skipping all the ads? And not paying attention to a word I said? I'm gonna let you go with a warning this time. A warning that you better give a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel. Got it?
I don't even want to watch your stupid videos.
Alright, out of the car. I think this one needs a full cavity search. The hard way. And for the rest of you good citizens, may I suggest watching my other videos too. Just remember, I can have you in handcuffs anytime I want.